And the first team up here on our 2025 NFL Division Previews is the former number 1 seed for the NFC, who had their season end in disappointment, the Detroit Lions, coming on at 15-2 last year.
Yep.
We'll go through some of these losses first. Let's first talk Kevin Zeitler, offensive guard, now a Tennessee Titan. Frank Ragnow retiring. Zadarius Smith is gone. John Kaminsky is retiring, and Carlton Davis and Efidu Melifonwu is, both been kind of moving on. Davis with the Pats and Melifonwu with the Dolphins there.
Yep.
What are you thinking now? Takeaways from the losses. What concerns do we have here?
I think the biggest concerns for me is over the last couple of years, the Lions have had one of the best offensive lines in the league. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be bad by any means, because, you still have Sewell there on the right side. I'm not thinking of the left tackle's name right off the top of my head, but
Decker,
the center, Taylor Decker, thank you. But the interior part of that offensive line takes a massive hit, losing Zeitler and Ragnow, obviously retiring. Ragnow, that's an all-pro center that all of a sudden you're bringing 2-year-old Glass now that he's a serviceable guy, but you're definitely losing a lot when it comes to that interior.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's that interior line is changed over. Talking about some of those replacements there, they went out and drafted the rookie out of Georgia, offensive guard Tate Rutledge. They have Christian Mahogany is going to play the other guard, a former Boston College, really high prospect, but kind of dealt with a lot of injuries. And then Graham Glasnow is going to take over at center there. So, a lot of change over there. Some of these other additions, I think in the 3rd round, they went and got the wide receiver out of Arkansas, I believe, Isaac Tesla. Tyleek Williams there, defensive tackle. Brought in, Cunningham at linebacker, and then 3 cornerbacks, Maddox, Reed, and Rock Ya-Sin, all kind of a little bit of journeyman guys. It looks like Reed is projected to get the start there, but they've got some questions in the secondary there as far as, when we talk about where this team was limited last year, it was squarely the defense, and the secondary the past 2 years have really been a bit of a concern. Now, some of that is due to, injury and injury luck and really misfortune as far as the injuries. But still, I think there's still some obvious questions in the secondary with all that turnover and having to rely on some young guys there. I think one thing we have to talk about when we talk about the Lions here is the loss of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
For sure.
This is both coordinators. You're coming off a great season, 15-2, where it was very disappointing way to end the season with that kind of blowout loss, really, to the Commandos. Now we have, we're moving on to a new regime. You still have Dan Campbell there to bite everyone's kneecap off. But a lot of people said, he's the hoorah-rah caveman, and these guys were more of the kind of the tactical geniuses.
The nuts and bolts,
Right? So how is this going to look? And then we kind of talked about the defense there. What's your overall takeaway? Any other different takeaways you have for these Detroit Lions?
I don't think a ton. I think it'll be interesting to see that, obviously, the health on the defensive side of things. They lost a historic number of players last year throughout the season, and a few of those came back for the last couple of games. But at the same time, when you're missing an Aidan Hutchinson for the better half of the season, your defense is going to struggle a little bit. But like you said, going into last year, we thought that their defensive secondary was going to take a little bit of a step forward, bringing in Carlton Davis, and it just didn't necessarily work out just because of all of the injuries that they had throughout the season. Avonte Maddox, DJ Reed, those are very serviceable pieces. Like you said, they've kind of bopped around a little bit But not too long ago, they were pretty damn good corners. So will
Yeah.
they be able to fill in that role and make that defense as good as kind of what we were expecting last
Yeah.
year?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that, yeah, the defense is a question mark for me and the interior offensive line now. So let's talk some injuries real quick. We'll talk
Yep.
some big injuries as we always like to do for every team here.
Yeah.
Got a small one at first, but a huge player,
Yep.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God himself. He had an offseason knee scope. Looks like near the beginning of the offseason. So he's expected to be good to go by training camp. So more of one to monitor. No real concerns yet, but
For
I mean,
sure.
anytime anyone has a surgery, you want to make sure they're looking like they're back to where they were. The
Yep.
expectation is that he will be, but again, with the surgery, it's something to note.
Definitely.
Getting into some more bigger injuries here. Defensive end Marcus Davenport, who was a bit of a disappointment, and he's kind of been a disappointment his last few stops, especially with the injuries. He had a
Right.
triceps tear, complete triceps tear, back in September. When we talk about a triceps tear, what are we typically expecting? How long are they supposed to be out? And what's his outlook for next season?
Yeah, I mean, tricep, obviously the major muscle on the backside of your arm, especially for defensive ends, linemen in general. Like they're doing all of the pushing and shoving up front most of the
Right.
time. So it's a major injury when it comes to uh, comes to the interior. Now, the good thing for him is this is usually like a 4 to 6 month recovery timeline. This happened in September, so he has plenty of time to get this strengthened back up and rehabbed and everything. So it's one of those things that any major injury like that, you got to be cautious,
Right.
and kind of, you know, expect to take a few weeks, the first quarter of the season to kind of get back into the swing of things. But I think in general, I don't necessarily think that he's going to miss a ton of time, if any at all, going into
Good.
the season.
Yeah, yeah. No, I absolutely agree there. Yeah, so major injury definitely sucks during the season, pretty much season ending injury.
Yep.
But as far as for next season, he should be good to go. It happened early. Another guy who had a big injury early, linebacker Derek Barnes, MCL and a PCL tear.
Yep.
The ACL was spared, which we typically don't see with multi-ligament injuries, but he
Yep.
got lucky there. So typically about a 9 to 12 month recovery. He's got 11 and a half months. So I do expect him to be available and to play early on, but he's going to probably be a little bit rusty in those
Yep.
first few weeks, first half of the season. What are you thinking there for Derek Barnes?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with basically everything that you said. I think it's more of a rust that has
It's
to
a
get
good
knocked
place to
off
be.
with Derek Barnes. And not always, but
I was gonna say, man, don't ask for the wife, but yeah, I
that's
think it's a
right.
pretty good place to
That's
be.
right. But no, I think you're right. I mean, when you miss an entire season, like it's gonna take a few weeks to get back to the swing of things, and that's probably where Derek Barnes is gonna be.
Plus
Yeah.
bets. First up, we're talking about none other than Mr. Bob Lung's fantasy football consistency guide. Get a leg up on your opponents with Bog's 10th annual edition of the fantasy football consistency guide for 2025. Purchase yours for a measly $15 on Amazon. Just search 2025 fantasy football consistency guide. Yeah, and they are relying on him. He is going to be a starting linebacker. The other guy who plays, not quite a starter, but rotational
Yep.
piece. Malcolm Rodriguez also coming off an ACL injury. So,
Yep.
they're going to have to, Barnes is going to have to be ready to step it up. And I think that's going to be a little difficult early on. Let's talk a little bit of fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes, folks, you get a
Cool.
little bit of everything in this episode. We really do a comprehensive look at each team. Any major fantasy takeaways for you regarding this Detroit Lions team?
I mean, going into the season, the main guys are still going to be absolute studs. When we're
Mm-hmm.
talking Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, you talked about him a little bit ago. Those guys should still be at the top of your draft order, if you
Right.
will, first couple rounds. The one guy that I will be watching over the next couple of months is Sam Laporta and how they're using him, because his rookie season, he absolutely crushed it, jumped onto the screen in a major way.
Right.
Last year, they kind of changed his role from more of a receiving tight end to more of a blocking in line tight end a lot more.
Hmm.
So from a fantasy perspective, we're not big fans of that, right? We want him to be out wide and want him to be going out in passing situations and be one of Jared Goff's main guys to throw to. So going to last season, I think he was the number one tight end off most people's boards. He didn't live up to that just because
Right.
of that kind of change in how he was used. And now bringing in the new OC, it'll be interesting to see where he actually fits into that offense.
Yeah, no, I think that's my one guy I've got questions with. I mean, look, 60 catches, 726 yards, and 7 touchdowns isn't terrible,
Yeah.
but he was being drafted so high
Hmm.
because of those expectations coming off the rookie year.
Right.
And there is reason to kind of have a little bit of pause now that we saw some regression, and now it's a new system. What are we going to expect? So I do have a little bit of hesitation taking him, top five as far as tight ends. I think
Sure.
that some of those other guys, I'd rather have, a Kittle, a Bowers, a McBride, a Hawkinson for me.
Yep.
So he's probably at the
Yep.
bottom of that kind of tier there.
I would agree. He's
So
kind of fringe tier one, probably more tier two kind of a thing.
right, yeah, I think he's kind of right around either 5, 6. Even if 7, I wouldn't totally, see that case. But
Yep.
again, like you were talking about, coming into last year, he was someone that everybody wanted, right away, and I think we need to press the brakes a little bit there for Laporta.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the fun stuff, and that is the betting, how we actually make some money
Do it.
here. I'm gonna go through win totals and some futures here, just prices. I will say shop around. I was shopping around at 4 of the major books there, and you will get a wide variety. But for the most part, win total sitting at 10.5. A little bit, over. You're getting either plus 110, plus 100 where you're looking. Under,
Yep.
minus 130, minus 120. You've got make playoffs right around minus 185. Miss playoffs at plus 150, 155. Backwards. Make playoffs for the Lions to make the playoffs. It's minus 185 ish. Miss playoffs is plus 150, plus 155.
Yep.
Division to win the NFC North, they're sitting around plus 155, plus even as low as plus 135, depending on what
Yeah.
book you're at. To win the NFC, plus 550 to plus 400, and Super Bowl typically around a 10-1 range.
Okay.
So obviously one of the favorites in the NFC.
Yep.
They were just coming off a 15-2 season. They were the number 1 seed last year, although very underperforming in the playoffs. Any of those futures, you're looking to take anything win total? What are you doing anything with them for those bets there?
I am of those. I would take, or I'm taking the over on their win total.
So
I
you
think they're
want over
still.
10.5?
I still think they're going to be a double-digit win team. I don't think they're going to repeat the 15 wins that they had last year. I see them being a 12-win team probably because they're in general they didn't have a ton of changeover. Obviously, like we talked about, offensive line, a little bit in the defensive backfield, but I think all of their main guys are still there when it comes to just their stars. And Aidan Hutchinson coming back from his injury, I expect him to be a full go. Jameer Gibbs, you still have
Montgomery,
Montgomery and St. Brown and Williams and all
mhm.
all of the main major players that we always hear about. My one concern would be obviously the coordinator changes,
Right.
but I think with the star power that they have on that team, they're still a double digit team win. So I would take the over
Yeah.
in that case.
If I was gonna take one of the win total, I think that's where I would kind of be a little bit lean towards there. I'm ultimately gonna stay away from any of their stuff because I think there is enough change over the offensive line, the interior
Sure.
offensive line. You mentioned the coordinators. I don't feel great about it. I definitely, definitely not going to really be taking the under because I agree. I don't. I definitely think they could be easily, an 11-win team and above. But A lot went right. A lot kind of broke right for them last season with getting those wins, especially. I mean, they won a game where Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. So I am going to say
I would also play devil's advocate and say they had like 15 defensive players injured last year.
they
I
did.
don't expect
They
that
did.
to happen again.
I will say the more you say it, the more I may come around to it. Ultimately, for the official play, though, I am going to stay off them just 'cause I like a couple in this division a little bit more.
Okay.
Let's get to our best bets part of this. For the Detroit Lions, I will kick us off here with why best bet for the Detroit Lions. And they're both revolved around the one guy, and that is Mr. David Montgomery.
Ooh, okay.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
David Montgomery, he's been in the league for 6 years.
Yep.
How many times has he rushed for under 750 yards?
I'll go 1.
0.
Really?
He has never missed that number. He is 6 to that number. However, over at our friends at Bet365, he is plus 160 to have 750 or more rushing yards this season.
Really?
So I will be taking David Montgomery, 750 plus yards at plus 160, again, over at Bet365. And then I will also be taking David Montgomery, 10 plus touchdowns. 2 years in Detroit, he's had 13 and 12 touchdowns. And that was only playing 14 games in both of those years. And yes, both those years, he went over 750 yards. So look, Jahmyr Gibbs is great. Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome, but it's Sonic and Knuckles. And I think David Montgomery is going to continue to be a productive guy that's going to be slept on. I think we're getting some really good numbers here. So give me David Montgomery, again, 750 plus rush yards at plus 160 and 10 plus rush touchdowns at plus 100 for my best bets for the Detroit Lions. What say you, my friend?
Yeah. Give me the guy that you just talked about in terms of Sonic, and give me Jahmyr Gibbs over 1,075.5 rushing yards at minus 110. He ran for over 1,400 yards a year ago. I think his rookie year, he was like around 970, 980, missed 2 or 3 games that season. But it seemed like the couple weeks that David Montgomery went down, I can't remember what type of injury it was. They really started to lean on Jahmyr Gibbs a lot more. I expect him to have a very full workload. And just with the explosivity that he has, as long as he stays healthy, I think he absolutely blows over this number without any questions. Yeah. And then my second one is Jared Goff's over 28.5 passing touchdowns at minus 110. So Jared Goff, I believe, finished, I can't remember. Yeah. So last year he had 37 touchdowns.
Jeez,
the year before that, 30. The year before that, 29. So he hasn't missed this the past 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
And I think as far as the Lions go, they do keep things fairly balanced between both of their running backs and the passing game. So I think Jared Goff flies over, again, that 28.5 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, no, I like it. And don't get me wrong, me being pro Montgomery is not being anti Gibbs. I really think that, look, the year before last, they were both 1,000-yard rushers. Like, I think that offense can sustain them. I think they need each other to kind of stay healthy, stay fresh. So I very much like Gibbs, and I like your Goff angle there. So, no, I do really like both those bets there. All right, my friend, anything else for these Detroit Lions? Are you ready to move on?
I might have a little bit here in the future, but for now, I'm good.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.